AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon users hit by massive cellular outage in the U.S. New York Post story, a major cell phone outage affected users across the U.S.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Remember to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, share, and set your notifications so you don't miss any more content. Now, we're going to get into something very serious, very important. Today this was today, February 22nd, Thursday. We had a blackout, largely a blackout, cell phone blackout with AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Okay, and my phone, I remember waking up this morning and I looked at it and I was working on doing some things on my phone, and then all of a sudden I could not, and I saw the SOS function pop up. So it was a little bit concerning for a minute, but anyway, let's get into this.
AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon users hit by massive cellular outage in the U.S. New York Post story, a major cell phone outage affected users across the U.S. early Tuesday, including myself. My phone still doesn't work. I can't text. I can't call. I can't receive calls. I'm on SOS right now. I don't know if you are or not. I know all these guys, their phones are working. Mine's not. The only thing I can use is, Wi-Fi. And AT&T seemed to have experienced the largest number of issues, with nearly 32,000 reports at 4:30 in the morning, more than 800 service outages also at T-Mobile and Verizon. The problem extended from New York, Boston, and Atlanta on the East Coast to Houston, Dallas, LA, Seattle, San Francisco, and even Montreal to Canada. A spokesperson for Verizon, however, told the Post its network is operating as normal, and the issues seem to arise when customers try to call or text those using another telecommunication company. AT&T is literally one of the most expensive phone companies, and y'all have the audacity to have a service outage for hours with zero updates being given to your customer, one customer wrote on X. So your phones are working, right?
My phone's working.
Okay.
Well,
go ahead.
Well, Rob, I just sent you the article. This is a shout out to Brennan for sending this from Zero Hedge. Cell service outages reported across U.S. The website Down Detector, yeah, you can pull that up right there, has detected a surge in outage reports from users AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, Consumer Cellular, Boost Mobile, US Cellular, and Straight Talk. Outage reports at carriers began around 3:45 Eastern when Tom woke up and texted us at
What's the difference between what you're reading and what I just read?
No, nothing. But basically, there's maps on here that show.
Show the map.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm showing.
Oh, are they major cities? Excuse me.
Okay, so zoom in a little bit.
All East Coast, basically.
Now, as you can see, as you can see, our nation has undergone a cyber attack. At least that's what it's called. They're going to get more into this conversation as we go throughout the video, but I find this very interesting. There have been whispers, there have been conversations being had for even longer than 6 months, a year, that something was going to happen in this country. Okay, something of a significant level, something having to do with blackouts. So I wonder if this is it. Let me know what you think down in the comments.
So, by the way, if you're listening to this, who's affected by it? I'm curious. But Rob, can you run a quick poll? Run a
It
quick
looks
poll.
like Atlanta, North Carolina,
Right in the middle.
So, Tom, what are your thoughts on this here?
Well, we had some phone calls we had to make with an ill relative across the U.S. And it was about 3:30, and then this was like a switch got flipped. All of a sudden, our phones go to SOS. Kim and I are trying to call, and so I immediately start going onto Twitter, and I'm seeing more cities than this. I'm seeing people saying, "I'm in the city, I'm in the city, I'm in the city," and it seemed to be AT&T first. And this is just me doing research, Pat, on Twitter, watching the live tweets come in, people saying, "Well, I'm completely up there. I'm in Greensboro. I'm completely up there. I'm in New York, New Jersey." It's and then somebody uses the word, my gosh, I think it's nationwide, because we saw a Denver, Portland, Seattle, and we were looking at it. And so one of two things has happened here. We didn't lose internet because I was able to use Wi-Fi. Everybody across the USA was saying, "Hey, we got Wi-Fi." So guess what that means? That means the backbone Wi-Fi was still working,
Right.
and we didn't have power outage. So what is it? It's either control systems or cell tower software. So somewhere there was a...
That's interesting. It's either a control system or a cell tower, because yes, my Wi-Fi was still working, but I couldn't make any phone calls. And while I was on Wi-Fi, I could make text mess. I could do texts text messages, but I couldn't do any phone calling. And of course, when I got off of Wi-Fi, I couldn't do either.
A failure or an attack.
Oh,
and
weird.
it was not related to a power outage.
Nope.
And it was not related to an a backhaul outage, because internet will have outage too, like a backhaul. And the internet is actually used to connect cell towers, sometimes fiber optics from tower to tower. So the whole network works. So my take on this, it appeared to be nationwide, and it sure seems like it's like a control software or cell tower software, because we had power and internet coast to coast.
Well, Vinny, I'm sure you'll bring up the movie.
See, that's a very interesting point. Was this a control? I asked this question earlier. Who's behind the buttons? Who's behind the buttons? Who's behind the authorization? I don't know. I know it's very easy to get caught up in conspiracies, truths, but who was behind these buttons being pushed that led to this event today?
Leave the world behind by the
I'll let you do that, but
Obama. Yeah.
here's a story that was actually a couple days ago that we didn't get to cover on Tuesday. But Christopher Wray, who's the head of the FBI,
Yeah.
came out and basically warned us about a Chinese cyber attack.
Thank you.
So it's kind of like, all right, we just talked about what's going on in San Francisco right here. FBI director says China cyber attacks on U.S. infrastructure are now at what? Unprecedented scale. I'll just read it real quick. Stating efforts to covertly plant offensive malware inside U.S. critical infrastructure networks is now at a scale greater than we've ever seen before, with concerns over the Volt Typhoon hacking network poised for potential disruption. He goes on to say that inserting offensive weapons within our critical infrastructure is poised to attack whenever Beijing decides that the time is right.
So the head of the FBI is warning us that China is trying to destroy us.
Yeah.
Okay, but let me ask this question right quick. If we are at such a high level of warning, of a high level of alertness concerning China, shouldn't the country be on high alert? I mean, I don't know exactly how that process works, but if China's that big of a threat, and they're having meetings, our FBI director's having meetings with his staff, with his team, with his departments about this issue, shouldn't this country, shouldn't the people of America, shouldn't we be on high alert? Something doesn't sound right here.
Meanwhile, they can do whatever the hell they want to this country. They just let one of their own run the elections in freaking San Francisco. This is what my opinion is, that this is an EMP dry run. Okay, Tom, I've been saying this for a long time. I predict there's going to be an attack in the near future. And by the way, you see where the majority of those outages are, right where Texas is moving up into the middle of America. Okay, our infrastructure. Me and Brandon have been talking about this, Patrick. I don't think you guys understand how vulnerable and weak that is. Look at what's happening right now, just with the cell phone thing. And I've said this before. Have you ever stopped at a four-way intersection and the light's not working? It's just flashing.
Right.
It's chaos.
It is.
People are out of their cars fighting. Could you
doing
imagine?
this whole
Yeah,
thing.
everybody come in. Could you imagine for one moment everything just shuts off? Okay, and I'm telling you, if the FBI, Christopher Wray is out there, Pat, going, "Oh, this is different," then why the hell don't you go next door, talk to Mayorkas, that rat, and say you're letting them in? The border's wide open. So this is a BS. Hey, this is predictive programming, just like the Obamas did in the movie Leave the World Behind. They have to show you what they're going to do before they do. This was a test run, and you nailed it, Tom. This wasn't a Wi-Fi power outage. No, this was I guarantee you, this is going to be an attack. That's why they're not saying anything.
Hey, look, as a normal
See, that's what I was going to bring up too next. I was waiting for my moment. Have y'all seen that movie called Leave the World Behind that was executive produced by the Obamas? Came out, I believe, in December of last year. I watched that movie. Told a friend of mine, I said, listen, something's about to happen. Now, that's not fear-mongering. That's not me trying to stir up any type of panic. I just know the MO. Something's about to happen. 2 months later, something seemingly connected happened. Or some people call it coincidence. Listen, I don't believe in accidents or coincidences, nor do I believe in making up stuff. And neither do I believe in looking at stuff straight in the face, looking the truth straight in the face and telling it ain't true. Something's up. Something sounds very fishy about this.
course of doing business, you do penetration tests. We did penetration tests on the Bamboo system that was at PHP. We want to make sure it's secure, that our agents' data is secure, and more importantly, the people that have insurance policies with tons of personal information is secure. Sarah Brin does, you pay them to try to attack your software, to try to do it. And what they've
Wow.
said, and I also know 2 executives at Sentinel One and 1 at CrowdStrike. These are all cybersecurity, and they always say there will be a moderate attack when they try to do it, or they will do like, financial criminals will test new types of emails and things to see if they can get a few consumers, and then there will be like 25 million of those emails that flood a week later. So there's always a little test ahead of the big attack. And so if you believe that this was a little test ahead of a big attack, there's a bunch of executives at these cyber security companies that would agree with you and are basically trying to warn people. And I know they're trying to sell services because they're customers.
This is one question.
But they're right.
I got one question for you. Okay. So yesterday, I'm talking to Tiffany Justice about how AI could completely disrupt the educational system and how we can take 1 million kids out of school and have the NEA, the largest union in America, which is the Teachers Association, 3.2 million members, give or take, that have a chokehold on all our parents and kids. But AI is could disrupt the educational system, and we're working and having some interesting conversation afterwards. So what makes us think with advanced technology, cyber attack, AI, whatever it may be, how many cell phones would need to be down on election day for me to impact the election?
Love that.
How many? I'm curious. Tom, one more time. How many cell phones would need to be down, or maybe even a certain area where internet's not working in certain zip codes? How many zip codes would I need to destroy the internet for 24 hours to affect the election?
I think you only need 8 to 11% of total cell phones, and you need to hit the counties that are the swing counties.
Give me a zip code. How many zip codes?
I would probably bet there's probably 40. You know what I'm thinking? Of
course.
There's probably 40 zip codes, like in the swing areas of Pennsylvania, the swing areas of Ohio, the swing areas of Wisconsin, and certain parts. Florida is kind of swing. Certain parts of Florida, you probably have 40 zip codes where if you could impact those areas, you could prevent or influence the swing of those swing states.
Do you think that?
And
Wow.
there's the whole
Do
action.
you think that technology today exists by professional hackers, countries, China, Russia, or even, some folks even internally here who are afraid of Trump taking over? Do you think that technology exists for them to shut down certain zip codes for 24 hours?
Yes, I do. And I think those countries would be secretly referring to it as a weapon system.
Perfect. So if you do believe that exists, guess what, folks? You have the right to be paranoid. That's it. You have the right to sit there and say, what was this all about here? Wait a minute, this is kind of weird. What are you guys doing here right now with the phones? This was a weird thing that took place, and maybe they're getting you to get used to it, because maybe whatever the first Tuesday of November is, who knows? Now here's my other question for you. I actually want you to go there. Okay. And I want you to process this with me. Visualize this. Adam, I want your thoughts on this as well. Okay. Say we go there. Well, what does Tuesday fall on, Rob? What's the first Tuesday of November fall on? Say we go there, okay, and it's election day. We're doing a live podcast all day that day. We're going to be on from morning till 4 o'clock in the morning, just so you know. We're going to sell tickets for that day. People are going to be at our place. What day does it fall on, Rob? November what?
Tuesday, November 5th.
Okay, Tuesday, November 5th it is. Okay. On that day, if towers went down in certain zip codes, if internet goes out in certain zip codes, if middle of the night we get a report that Michelle Obama won, or Newsom won, or Biden won, if all of those events happen simultaneously, and then mainstream media gets out, MSNBC, CNN, CBS, ABC gets out and say, there's a lot of people that are speculating that because of cell phone towers being down and internet being down in certain zip codes, that is a total conspiracy, another conspiracy from the right-wing MAGA voters that are doing this. This was a one election. America, what they said is they do not want another 4 years with Donald Trump. They want a peaceful last 4 years, and watch what's happened with the economy. If that were to happen, January 6th, They were worried about people going to, and what do they call it? Insurrection or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
What do you think would actually happen if all of those events happen on November 5th and they announced that Biden, Michelle, or Newsom won? If
He's asking a good question. Do you know the answer to that? Do you think you know the answer to that? What do you think would happen under those conditions?
remember, this is not about if Michelle Obama, Newsom, or Biden won, but there's nothing with cyber attack. There's nothing with phones. There's nothing with internet. I'm saying if those two events happen coincidentally, simultaneously, what would happen to America?
You're saying something very interesting because statistically speaking, there are more mail-ins and ballot harvesting that happen for Democrat voters and Republican voters. More Republican voters are same-day voters or day of election voters. Far more.
In other words, people who actually obey the law, those who actually go according to the protocols of voting.
Than versus Democrats. So you're talking about something that
Largely.
will disproportionately impact the older Republican voters who are voting in person. And I think that you would have a January 6th at several state houses as the voters will be righteously
think
feel
would
like we got ripped off in Wisconsin.
Vinny, what would happen?
Personally, I would take to the streets. Me personally, as your friend, I'm telling you guys right now, because it would be enough is enough. Like, at what point, because I keep saying it, would the people get involved? And I think January 6th was such a setup that they made everybody, they pushed everybody into it. So now to stoke fear into people, because there's people doing 20 years that didn't even show up.
Right.
That's letting everybody know, don't you dare, no matter what the hell happens, don't you dare go to the White House. Don't you dare go to Congress. Don't you dare go to Washington. They want everybody to stay away from Washington. What I would hope, what I think would happen, I think there'd be a lot of us, but I don't think there'd be enough, because the other side would play the whole, oh, you guys are, come on, we had a power outage, on this month. You guys are conspiracy theorists. But I would hope, my hope is that the majority of people would say, no, enough is enough. There's no writing on the wall. They're doing it in front of your face. And I'd hope that people would take to the streets. Because I would tell you, I would get up, I'm not even joking, and I'm like, I'm going to go on the street. We have to fight. That's when you have to fight, or else we're going to lose it all. Period. You're done.
Okay, so, but I'm not.
So what do you think? Do you think something we got to get out there and we got to do? That we should stand up if we believe that basically, again, is stolen or is manipulated, or the numbers, again, are skewed one direction? Stolen. So it's interesting about the cyber attack. It's interesting he was just having a conversation with someone else just the other day about AI. I mean, I've heard some interesting things along those lines as well. About the power of AI, which I still think that there's both sides to it, with anything. But this is very interesting to consider. I mean, I've even heard rumblings. Hey, will there even be a 2024 election? I mean, the environment is being set up to negate that, in my view.
I'm not trying to say what you're going to do. I want to know, what do you think will happen with America if that were to take place?
Yeah, well, there's this whole conversation of how close is America to a civil war. This situation. I think if something like that happened, January 6th would look like kids in a playground.
Right.
It looked like a
I think
JV
so,
game.
too.
I agree. It'd be very scary. We saw what happened during COVID. People, it's the first time it's ever happened in 100 years. Some sort of world pandemic like that. People didn't know what to do, and then people started wising up and being like, "Hold on, what?" And it happened at different parts where people's. So in order for me to keep my job, I have to get vaxxed. So I could walk in the gym. I have to have a mask on to walk in the gym. I can go in the gym. I could work out, sweat, breathe, and then I have to put the mask on to leave the gym. So, something's not adding up here. I think people are would be completely bananas and take to the streets, and we'll see what happens. With that.
Question to you though: Would you support them? Because Adam, you yourself would be like, okay, this is beyond fishy. We know exactly what they're doing. Who knows who helped them? China probably wasn't involved with all these people coming in. Because think about it: the last time Trump was about to win again. Trump held China accountable for trade.
I don't think this is about support.
No.
I think this is about you're at a bar, okay?
Yeah.
And a guy first time disrespects your wife in front of you. You tell him, "Hey bro, don't do that.
Yeah.
It's my wife," okay? You walk away and you come back next week. He does it again, okay? And he disrespects your wife, even worse, okay? Now you go up to him, and let's just say you get in his face, and you have to be separated, okay? A week later, you go back, and he bumps into your wife and slaps her butt,
Oh God.
okay? I know I'm giving you
Yeah.
weird
Yeah.
metaphor.
No, it's all good.
Guess
Yeah.
what you're doing at this time?
You're dropping.
You know what happened? Total reasoning is gone. The ability to reason in that moment is gone. My concern is the following. Here's my concern.
I think I know where he's going.
If the left and the establishment, I want to put those two in the same category, because it's not just the liberals, it's the establishment and the left who fears this guy coming in. Because remember, while they're taking $354 million from this guy, while they're taking $83.3 million from this guy, while every single day he doesn't pay the money back, it's $86,000 in interest on a daily basis, while they want to, this guy wants to go get a bill, which they're not going to give him 10%. It's going to be so expensive for him with inflation and all this stuff. Interest and all this stuff, because they can't stand the guy. While this is going on, the Epstein list has been very quiet. Okay,
Come on,
There's a lot
Pat,
of
tell
other
it.
things that's going on that no one's talking about.
Real talk.
The Biden brother comes out and says, "I've never had any dealings with Hunter. We've had nothing." It's like, no, we have proof of it. Oh, I forgot. I never knew I made that phone call. No, you do. You're right here. We have it here. I totally forgot. Did I call him? I didn't know I called him. You did call him. While all of this stuff is going on,
Real talk.
I think the people are, if they try to push it this much as a bully, if they try to go this far, I think they're going to cause something very nasty in America, and I think America will no longer be America overnight. It'll be an embarrassment to the world. Everybody will say, "What the hell happened to that greatest country in the world, the American dream?" Look at that. If they go there now, the question that you got to ask yourself is: are these?
Hold on, Pat. What do you think? Do you think that the powers that be are trying to push the American people over the edge into civil war so that they can establish or implement or declare national martial law? Do you really think they're trying to push people to the point of becoming irrational, unreasonable, so that we can go at each other's throats? What do you think? Remember, go ahead and drop your thoughts down in the comments. I would like to know what you're thinking about this, because we're very much at a critical point in our history. Yes, this is big. This is not conspiracy, y'all, or at least this is not theory. There's a conspiracy, but it's not theory.
These guys capable and willing to be that greedy and use a tool or a mechanism like this to win? If your answer to that question will dictate whether that's possible or not.
Yes.
If you say yes, then guess what? Don't be surprised if November 5th of this year, something like that happens. If your answer to that question is, I don't think they're going to go that far, then don't worry about it. It's going to be a fair election. That's, you have to process this.
Pat, just to echo what you're saying, there used to be a time in this country when someone would hear what you're saying, it'd be like, "You're crazy."
Yeah.
Right.
They're never going to do that. What? At this point, people are living with such paranoia. They say only the paranoid survive. People are looking at each other being like, maybe that could happen. Maybe this is happening. I know that you're giving a hypothetical, but on the flip side, the reality is our enemies hate us.
Right.
The people around the world. I'm just going to look at some of the highlights right here.
Hold on one second. He's making a very valid point there. I don't agree with everything Adam says. To me, he's the more liberal guy on this podcast. And some of his reasonings makes no sense to me at all. But he's making sense here. Yes, our enemies hate us and all those things. Let's go back real quick. What he said here.
You're crazy.
Yeah.
They're never going to do that. What? At this point, people are living with such paranoia. They say only the paranoid survive. People are looking at each other being like, maybe that could happen. Maybe this is happening. I know that you're giving a hypothetical, but on the flip side, the reality is our enemies hate us.
So the point I wanted to make real quick was I was just out at dinner with a friend of mine and his lady, and she told me, she said to both of us, but I'm first finding this out from her that I'm hearing it from her for the first time. Excuse me, that when COVID happens or before COVID happened, she would not have believed that the things she's seen and experienced since COVID would have happened. She just wouldn't have believed it. And I'm not surprised by that because there are many things that's going on in this country. There's things people are now seeing and witnessing. I've had a friend tell me, Darius, I would not have believed you 3 years ago about some matters. Some of the things that Adam is pointing out here, the hypothetical that Patrick David was just talking about. And I told him, and I meant it, and I meant it in a humble but very factual way. Is I know she wouldn't have believed me. I know she wouldn't have. Why? It ain't just me. We have to at times take a look beyond the scopes of our lives to see what's really going on. And that's the point Patrick's bringing up, I believe, and that's what Adam is alluding to. What do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments.
The people around the world. I'm just going to look at some of the highlights right here that was going on here.
Especially the domestic ones.
They want, but you could say the domestic ones. That's fine. But one of the things we always talk about here is, and you've said this a million times, Pat, Trump is not the enemy. Sometimes it's going to take something disastrous from an outside force, from a foreign actor, from an enemy, who will galvanize America and say, you know what? Maybe this freaking guy, Trump, is not the bad guy. And maybe it works on the other side as well. Hey, maybe the nominee on the other side isn't as evil as I thought he was. I mean, if you're just looking at these, we're talking about the power outage, to go back to that. Some of the highlights. FBI Director Wray says China cyber attacks on U.S. infrastructure are now at unprecedented scale. Another story, Russia's nuclear space weapon, a risk for all. That's according to the German Space Command Force. You see stories like Sam Altman. A lot of this stuff could be done via AI. What's going on here? You see Sam Altman, who's worth billions of dollars, is a quote unquote doomsday prepper with a stash of guns and gold. The guy leading the AI charge is a doomsday prepper. You see the story about Mark Zuckerberg. Didn't he just buy $150 million
Because he
compound
knows.
where in Hawaii?
Underground bunker.
So when you see the billionaires, the millionaires and the billionaires, you see when they're turning into doomsday preppers, it's pretty scary. There you go, inside Mark Zuckerberg's top secret Hawaii compound. It's scary out there, man. Last point, we had Peter Pry on the podcast 2 times in a month, I want to say.
And then he died.
I mean,
He was the number one leading
correlation here.
expert in weapons of mass destruction, WMP. He knew a lot about EMPs.
Yes. Rest in peace. I'll say one thing. I've told this story before at a NALBA type Fonseca ALU event. Ted Koppel spoke, and this was at the height of the election, 2016. And being build a wall, don't build a wall. Should we build a wall? He goes, listen. This is the whole walk and chew gum, do both.
Right.
He goes, yes, the wall is important for domestic, but don't lose sight of the foreign adversaries down our power grids and whatever these EMPs may do. So a wall on the southern border, pretty important, I think we've realized at this point, but also not being immune and being prepared to cyber warfare, paramount.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch,
Man, this is exactly what I'm talking about right here. This is real talk, y'all. They're bringing up some very valid points. These concepts, these ideas that they're sharing right now would have been considered conspiracy theory not that long ago. And even having this conversation would have been taboo. Now, you still have to be careful because they will still censor you. But we have to have the real conversations. We have to be willing to unplug from our daily lives, from our selfish activities at times, and really look at the world for what it is and not the world we want it to be. Yes, we want things to be better. Yes, we want finances to be better positioned. Yes, we want our relationships to work out. All those types of things. I'm not saying forget about them. I'm not saying not to dream. I'm saying we need to pay attention to what's actually going on around us so we can properly prepare. There are no accidents and there are no coincidences. Let me know what you thought about this video. in the comments. And if you have some suggestions or some ideas or some videos you want me to cover, let me know. Now, again, I am a kingdom citizen, or in some circles it's called being a Christian. And so I am careful about some of the content that I do share, but mostly what I've seen thus far, I will share. I will cover. So if you have some ideas to say, Darius, would you take a look at this? Would this be something you'd like to cover? I'd like to have your thoughts on that. And I've actually received several requests now, so I'm going to look into doing that. But let me know what you think in the comments. Remember to like, subscribe, and set your notifications so you don't miss any content. And please share this video, share this channel with somebody you love if you value the information. All right. God bless you. Oh, one more thing. I love each and every one of you, and I pray Jesus Christ best for you. Have a good day.